as was discussed in the briefings last week with regards to the block cameras, of course, the administration will look toward the commission with regards to direction on the audit. And we are working on pulling together all of the records that were reviewed. I want to make sure that there were over 7,000 emails and hundreds of thousands of records that were reviewed as a result of those 7,000 accesses to our data, right? So it is a huge, huge amount of data that our folks were looking at. And the investigation that the police department was doing is not complete yet, but I will work towards some of that release as been discussed this evening. Also, the police department is already putting together the variety of community meetings that need to take place, beginning with Abel, who was the partner, and originally as we sat through to put this technology ordinance in place, as well as Welcome Dayton, and then certainly making sure we're going out to the neighborhood meetings, particularly where there were block cameras, so that we're engaging and talking about that. We're not done yet talking about what that outreach looks like, but that, and we will report on that as we get a little bit more finalized. But I wanted to let you know that that's the work that's in place right now, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Ms. McClendon, do you have any closing comments?
Yes, Your Honor. Next week's commission meeting on Wednesday, May 13th is canceled due to a lack of quorum. The next commission meeting will be held on Wednesday, May 20th at 6 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. McClendon. Commissioners, do you have any closing comments this evening? Commissioner Beckham.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate all the attendees tonight and making your voices heard. Just briefly say that the block camera situation, the ALPR circumstance is extremely disappointing. I obviously am the newest member up here, but I am committed, along with my colleagues, to rectifying the situation as best we can. We have, of course, spoke about the needed investigation to really understand where the breakdown happened and who all obviously was involved in that breakdown. So I look forward to the results of that investigation and working with my colleagues to make sure that we take the steps we need to rebuild some trust because this situation it is equally unfortunate, but it is also hard to understand in terms of how we could allow this to happen. It is a disappointment to me and my colleagues, so I look forward to ensuring that the investigation is thorough and complete and that we take the necessary actions from here.
Thank you, Commissioner Beckham. Commissioner Shaw.
I totally agree with my colleague, and for the most part, the folks that have come down here tonight to speak to us, understandable that there's major disappointment and distrust in this community now after this has happened. I thought we had some good processes in place, and we were assured that everyone was on the same page and that this would kind of move forward in the way that it was intended to do so. Clearly, that did not happen, and that is unacceptable. And I'm glad that all of my colleagues agree that we should have a very thorough and open process about how we move forward with this. I do want a thorough process to understand where the gaps were. I'm thankful that someone did catch the error and brought it forward, but we've just got to do better because we cannot move forward without trust in this community. And I am committed to do just that, and I know that all of my colleagues are on the same page, and that's important, an important start to heal. So I agree with you, I agree with just got to do a lot of hard work to rebuild trust in this community, and it's going to be important to do so, and we're committed to doing that.
Thank you, Commissioner Shaw. Commissioner Joseph.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not sure that I've ever been as angry as I was Friday when I found this out. I know that folks here are correct, that this is a failure of all levels. And we need to work to make sure, like Commissioner said, we rectify it as best we can. Specifically, we are calling for immediate shutdown software in the system. We're also calling for an independent review, like my colleagues have said. And specifically, I want the results of the investigation to be reported directly to the commission. I want the investigator to find out what data was shared with other law enforcement agencies, what those agencies' purposes were as best they can determine, where there were gaps in our oversight process, and as a result, recommendations as to what additional safeguards are necessary to preserve regular order, regular policy following by staff. In the meantime, I call upon our city manager and chief to re-examine all of our data sharing policies, whatever department, and the processes that ensure compliance with commission direction and policy to make absolutely sure this breakdown is not repeated. It doesn't fix what happened before, like the commissioner said, but we at least have to close the door so that, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a couple comments this evening. I do want to thank all of those who are in attendance this evening. I want to thank the staff members for the presentations this evening. Also, and please forgive me, I'm only going to pronounce your first name. I want to butcher your last name. So, Zakia, Tara, Julio, Joseph, Ebony, Joyce, Blanca, Sharon, Kevin, Kenya, Yusuf, Dory, Benita, Kathleen, Stephen, Mary Sue, Cheyenne, Tim, Kathleen, Ivory, Melissa, Bree, Miranda, Kamaru, Tara, Talis, Paula, and Stephen. Thank you all for coming before this body this evening. I know there were a few that didn't necessarily speak in regards to the ALPRs. This particular incident, I believe, is a test of our leadership. It is a test to what we campaigned on. Only being in office for 4 months now, let me add that. But I raised the point in running for office, running to be the next mayor. And I take great honor in that. I take great privilege in that. And I am not short-sighted in terms of who put me in this position. Amen. I hold true to that. And what we have experienced is exactly what my brother said. And he said that this was a gross act of negligence. Not only for the commission, we were misled. There is acts of deception. And frankly, I have shared on a number of occasions where we are and how we need to move the needle. This feels, even though it is prior to my time on the commission and being on the outside, this feels like another episode of what we saw that was the dark cloud of the city. And what we are experiencing here this evening. What we have experienced the last couple of weeks and months in the city of Dayton. And it gives me great pause, it gives me great concern. I know that my colleagues, again, this was before my time, you all did amazing work with the police reform. Many of you in this room were a part of those conversations. Many of you in this room led those initiatives, being on the number of committees. You gave your time, your talents, and you volunteered to be a part of a process that you believe where there was reciprocated trust and transparency and accountability. I am all in all right now because sitting in this seat as the mayor of the city of Dayton, as a Black woman, as a mother, as a wife, it is deeply, deeply troubling and concerning. And so I am so glad and I am appreciative that all of you that came this evening, and I charge you to continue to hold each and every one of us accountable, myself included, to hold us accountable. So there are a number of questions that I have. I do want to raise this point as well before I go into my questions. Thank you to my colleagues. Thank you, thank you, thank you for agreeing to make sure that we move forward with an audit, a full investigation as to what the next steps will be. That will, in fact, preside in the hands of this commission, of this legislative body. And that is, in fact, according to the ordinance in section 46. So I hold true to that. And I am so glad and appreciative that we are all on the same page on that regards. There are a number of questions that I have. And I know this is dear to you, but this is something that you're very passionate about, Commissioner Joseph. And I thank you for your leadership on that, and thank you for your commitment. And I know this is a very devastating incident to many of us in this room. But I'm asking my colleagues, we got to do the right thing. The one that failed, that's not enough. There are more that are accountable for this negligence. There are more that are accountable for these acts. And we got to do the next best thing. We have to do the next best thing. We have to make sure that we are preparing the lack of trust in this community. And I know we have had some conversations, and thank you, Ms. Dixon, for your commitment for the various different reviews that will take place, the police department and their commitment to work with ABLE. My question to you is, who in particular are they working with ABLE? We have an ABLE attorney here this evening. I hope that there will be an exchange where we can tap into the leadership and the advocacy and the work of Ms. Katie Kirsch. I will also encourage us to make sure that we're having the conversations with those who have been a part of the police reform, those who have been a part of the Surveillance Technology Coalition, those who have been a part of all of the various different works and advocacy that has taken place in this community. I hope that we tap into them, and it will be the direction of this body to make sure that we do so. I also want to make note, again, in conversation, the well-attended town hall that took place this past Saturday, there were over 50 plus residents, and in conversations that I have had with Ms. Dixon as the city manager, we are going to find ways and means to utilize the 30th of May town hall to have a public safety conversation. There is some much needed work we have to do in this community, and we cannot do it alone. So I invite you all to stay tuned, to make sure that you are engaged in that process. We have to make sure, and again, I don't know what this looks like, but we gotta make sure that there is mutual respect in this community. Mutual respect. And so I'm calling on all of you to be a part of that process and to hold us accountable. I am also asking that the number of demands that have been communicated this evening, that they are in fact recorded and they are deployed and executed in its fullest extent. I am also asking, again, as mentioned, that there is in fact a full independent audit, that all of the logs starting from the pilot of the program dating back to 2020, I believe, a direct explanation. And again, I posed this question during the time, why are we just now finding out? This was discovered in October, November. We received information in the end of April. Where's the gap?
Because it kept
And to say
benefiting
that
the
someone
police to
didn't
have
know,
it.
if you didn't know, if you didn't know, it's a problem.
They didn't want to
either
show
way
it off.
goes. It is a problem. And so I'm asking that, again, we put the number of provisions in place, and I too agree with the public, the cameras need to be removed. We need to remove those cameras. We have to remove those cameras. There is much work that needs to be done. I'm committed to that work. Again, you already heard that Commissioner Fairchild, he is not here due to another obligation from his full-time employer. But he has committed to holding a town hall specifically to this issue, the ALPRs. So more information that will come from him in that regard. But again, note that the 5 of us will be working collectively together to make sure that you all and that we all have answers as to where there was in fact a disconnect and where those gaps lie in this process. So continue to hold us accountable. We got much work we need to do, and we're gonna hold the city manager and all of the staff accountable as well. So thank you all for being here this evening. The last thing that I want to mention as well is that in regards to the recreation services, there are a number of programs. Our Youth and Recreation Services Department, they do a phenomenal job. We currently only have, to your point, Mr. Gage, we only have 3 recreation centers in the city of Dayton. And that is due to, which is a very unfortunate, make no qualms about it, I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with it. But you also gotta understand the population that we have. You also have to understand the dollars in which that provides us the means to have those services in operation. The overhead
Stop
costs,
spending it
the
on
staffing,
cameras
all
and
of those various different things. And
spend
that
it
is
on the
very
rec
not an
centers.
excuse. I'm not saying that to give an excuse. What I'm saying is, we have to do better to make sure that we're providing the level of information to the public because of the great work that is being done with the recreation and youth services. There are a number of free events and activities, sports events, whatever have you, that are readily available to the members in our community. And so we have to do a better part in making sure that people know about it. The other point that I want to make to that is there are many partners that we have in this community. Commissioner Shaw works very intimately. He sits on the board with the Boys and Girls Club. They're doing phenomenal work. There is great work that is being done by the Hope Zone. We want to continue on that path. Big Brothers Big Sisters is another organization that does great work. And these are all various different organizations, mechanisms that are in place to make sure, in fact, that our kids do have something to do. So again, there's more work that needs to be done, and we need to do a better part in educating the community about those various different services that are in fact provided. Last point, and I said this and I apologize, but Ms. Humphreys, thank you for being here. Note that your concern does not fall on deaf ears, because all of this is encompassing. When you talk about trust, when you talk about upholding zoning, when you talk about housing standards, all of this is all encompassing. So we have to do a better job in making sure that 1, we are enforcing our ordinances, 2, that we have housing inspectors that are actively working on the ground to address those various different issues that you have mentioned this evening. So Ms. Dixon, I would ask that if you could, which I know we've already been in conversation about this before, but if we can have a follow-up as to where we are for those particular concerns in the Fairview neighborhood. And I know that they have been brought to your attention. Thank you all very much. Again, transparency and accountability is not optional. You have our full commitment, and we are more than willing to work with each and every one of you that are here and those that are actually viewing online. Please, if you have those 4 or 5 recommendations that you have eloquently communicated, so succinctly and clearly, please make sure that you share them with us. Many of us will be here after the meeting. We look forward to having those conversations, not only this evening, but continuing those conversations. So provide that information to us. I know we received a number of concerns via email this evening as well as phone calls. But again, we want to make sure that we're doing the work to continue on this path to repair the damage that has been done in this community and to restore trust in our community. So with no further business that come before this commission, this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.